If a person tied together the lulav with the hados and the arova. Let's go down to the Peirush. However, after he tied, he made a separation between the hodos and the lulav with some sort of a cloth, and it's not something which is made out of either a lulav or a hodos. This separates them, because otherwise we say min b'minois doesn't separate, but this is a hivdil b'neim b'olei hodos. But if you separate between them with the twigs of a hodos, ain't a choitzitz. There's no separation. It's not considered a separation. Shemin v'mina ain't a choitzitz, because the same type is not considered a separation. Meaning, it does separate. It means that it would seem to be that you don't not fulfill your obligation. The Machon Nesher questions in Halacha test. He says if you took it one after the other, you fulfill your obligation. And therefore, if that's the case, what do I care how you took it? If they're not connected, there's no obligation to have them connected. Why is it any different than taking one after the other? And he answers that since, to begin with, one should tie them together because of beauty. Therefore, that this is considered downgrading. It's worse than not doing it at all. But he doesn't write that you don't fulfill your obligation. Just in Halacha Yud Aleph, if you took it in a vessel, there he says that you do not fulfill your obligation. It just says choitzitz or ein choitzitz. That's why you want to say the Rambam doesn't specifically say you don't fulfill your obligation. And he can tie the lulav with a string or a meshicho, a type of rope, or we call min, or any other thing that he wants, because you don't really have to tie it, so whatever you tie it with is fine. The Magen Mishnah cites Sukkah 36b, that the reasoning of Rabbi Yehuda, you don't tie the lulav only with its own species, is because the lulav requires eged. But halacha we don't pass like Rabbi Yehuda, and therefore, if you don't tie it, it does not impede the accomplishment of the mitzvah. Therefore, you can tie it with whatever you want. Rae Gann Family explains that meshicha is a string that is woven from a few strands together, and he cites that they would tie the leaves of the lulav, and that's what's correct to do. And you have to tie them from Erev Yontif, because Yontif you can't tie with a knot which will remain. If you forgot to do the Erev Yontif, or he did it from Erev Yontif with a knot and somehow it got opened, he can do it in Yontif with something of a vegetable, or with a bonat which does not remain. And the Peirush HaMeir questions why the Rambam left out this halacha that if you forgot to tie it from Erev Yontif, and he says we have to look into it. Rabbeinu Moneach cites that you tie it 4 times the lulav with adasim and arovas, 3 times for the ovos and for Yosef, because the 4 minim have to do with Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, and Yosef. And he brings some sikta Rav Kahano that pre-Eitz Hodom is Avram, because it says Zokin. It says V'hodato Pnei Zokin. So you see Hodor and Hodato has to do with Avram. Kapos Tamorim is Yitzchak. Shenichpas, he was tied on the Mizbeach. Anaf Eitz Ovos is Yaakov. Just like Hodas is a bunch. From Yaakov came out all the tribes. There are those who say that just like a Hades surrounds the entire lulav, so the children of Yaakov surrounded his bed, as it says, Yaakov el-Bono. Avi Nochal, the willow is because of Yosef, that it dries up before the other species. Therefore, Yosef died before his other brothers. And furthermore, that his words were Aravim, which means sweet to his brothers. That's why it's called Aravim. The Chsiv, as we find after after Yaakov died, and they were afraid that Yosef would want to take revenge for what they did to him. It says, "Vayinachim oisom." He consoled them. Vayidaba al libam. He spoke to them. Therefore, he merited to be counted with the ovis in the mitzvahs lulav. And what the Python says in Ishanis, "V'hoya okud nimshol ke'esrog," is not like the Medrash, because according to the Medrash, okud would be the lulav. According to the Python, esrog is Yitzchak, who was on the Mizbeach. We're continuing with Perek Zayin Halacha Yud Gimel Hilchos Lulav. Mitzvahs Lulav, the mitzvah is to take it. The Yonot will be a Narration Shel Chag V'Vad. Min Torah, it's only to be taken the first day of the festival. B'chol Makim, every place. Otherwise, it's in the Beis Hamikdash. So not only in Eretz Yisrael. That means B'chol Makim, every place in the world where Jews are, B'chol Zman, and every time even when the Beis Hamikdash is not existing. Afilu b'Shabbos, if the first day would fall on Shabbos, Min HaTorah, you would have to take it on Shabbos, Shenema, because it says in the Pasuk, L'kachtam lochem b'yom harishon. You shall take it on the first day, and the Mikdash alone, they take it on every day of the 7 days of the Chag. Shenema, because there's a second Pasuk, which is Pasuk, which says, Smachtem l'fnei Hashem aleikechem. In the continuation of the Pasuk, it says, you shall take it before Hashem Shivas Yomim. So it says 1 day, and it says 7 days. That the 7 days is talking about in front of Hashem in the Beis Hamikdash. Maggid Mishnah cites the Mishnah. In the beginning, the Lulav Mem Aleph 41a. When the Beis Hamikdash was standing, they would take the Lulav only in the Beis Hamikdash 7 days, and outside they would take it for 1 day. Rabbeinu Menoach says, according to the Rambam, Migdash means Yerushalayim, not only the Beis Hamikdash. And Medina Gvulim would be the other cities of Eretz Yisrael and in the entire world. According to Rashi, Migdash is the actual Beis Hamikdash. Yerushalayim includes all of the other areas that even in the Beis Yerushalayim. Once the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai instituted that you take the lulav even elsewhere 7 days in commemoration of the Beis Hamikdash. According to the Rambam, even today in Yerushalayim there are people who would say there's an obligation on Torah to take the 4 minim all the days of the Chag, because he says Yerushalayim is included. Rabbeinu Menoach cites from Yerushalmi. The Mishnah says Migdash, because everyone who takes the lulav in Yerushalayim takes it in the Beis Hamikdash, because that's where they got together. And he explains that L'kachtam lochem is learned from the beginning to the end, and the end to the beginning. How do you read the pasuk? You shall take for yourself on the first day a Pri Etzodah, the esrig, the kapos tamom, the lulav, anafetz ovois, and the myrtle twigs for avinochal, every place. And then we say, Pri Etzodah, the kapos tamom, anafetz ovois, for avinochal, usmachtam l'fnei Hashem aleikechem. You take the 4 species for 7 days in the Beis Hamikdash. If there was a Shabbos in Sukkot, which there sometimes it's obviously 7 days is a Shabbos, but it means not on Yom Tov, the first day or the last day, but rather in the middle. In Nittel b'Shabbos, you don't in Nittel b'Shabbos. It's not taken on Shabbos, even the Beis Hamikdash. This was an edict of the Chacham unless somebody carried 4 amas in a public place. Just like this instituted with shofar. Rabbeinu Noach cites in Hilchos shofar. They made an edict not to blow on shofar that fell on Rosh Hashanah that fell on Shabbos, lest the person take it to learn how to blow it, and he'll take it 4 amas to Rosh Hashanah, or he'll take it from his house to Rosh Hashanah, and he'll come to an Issa Skila. It says in the Mishnah in Sukkah 41b. Yontiv, the first day of Yontiv, that happened on Shabbos, everyone would take the lulav before Shabbos to the Beis HaKnesses, by the Beis HaMikdash, and the next day, everyone would take his lulav, recognize it, take it. Maggid Mishnah explains that from Erev Shabbos you would take it, because on Shabbos it's forbidden to take it, and move it from one area to another area. The next day he would take it, taking it pushes off Shabbos. And he says that this Mishnah is when the Beis Hamikdash was standing, that the first day would push off Shabbos in any case. Therefore, the Rambam says that the first day that happens on Shabbos, you take the lulav elsewhere as well. And the Mishnah says, lulav arova shiva v'shisha. And the Mishnah says lulav and arova are 7 days and 6 days. And the mitzvah lulav and arova is at times it's 7 days, and at times it's only 6 days. How? First day happened to be on Shabbos, you take it 7 days. If it happened the other days of the week, Shabbos and Chol HaMoed, and not the first day, then the lulav would only be taken for 6 days, and wouldn't take it on the Chol HaMoed Shabbos Chol HaMoed. So more questions, what's the reasoning? There's no Issa Torah to take the lulav on Shabbos. The Rabbi explains, lest he take it to bring to a boki to learn how do you take the lulav. And he'll carry it, which is a Rambam on Shabbos. Therefore they made an edict, just like they made an edict with the shofar on Yom Tov Rosh Hashanah that happened on Shabbos. So there are more questions. The first day, why should you be able to take it? Maybe he'll go 4 Amos and Shusar Abim. The answer, that the first day you take it because it's obligated in Torah everywhere. And they did not want to nullify the halacha of lulav. But on the other days, when it's not taken elsewhere, Rambam said even in the Beis HaMikdash they shouldn't take it. So the question today, if the first day happens on Shabbos, it should push off Shabbos. Why do they do not take a lulav and esrog and all the form species on Shabbos? And the answer that we're not sure of the establishment of the month. Maybe it's not the 15th. So the question that people in Eretz Yisrael that knew when they were announcing the month should have been able to push off Shabbos even when Yom Tov Rishon was on Shabbos. And the answer, since those who do not know it do not push off Shabbos, therefore they made an edict on everyone so that nobody would be mistaken and Chas v'Shalom be mechal Shabbos.